Behold, an angel did appear on that special night. Glory to God, glory to God on high. Messiah has come, love has transformed this night. The angel said, "Now have no fear, I bring good news to all. A Savior now is born to you, your God has heard your call. In Bethlehem, in lowly manger, lying in a stall, go worship Him, the newborn King, before Him humbly fall. Glory to God, glory to God on high. Messiah has come, love has transformed this night. Then angels quickly fill the sky with glory all around. Praising God with joyful voice, I listen to their sound. Then all the shepherds went to where the baby could be found. Then bowed in homage to the King, their faces on the ground. Glory to God, glory to God on high. Messiah has come, love has transformed this night. Glory to God, glory to God on high. Messiah has come, love has transformed this night. This
There are angels among us that may not meet the eye. There are messages of love coming from a choir on high. But don't just look up, for the way God works is to plant more love right here on earth, just like it was at Jesus' birth. There are angels among us. There are angels among us. There are angels among us, bringing love on earth. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid.
The people of God long for Messiah, God's anointed one, to rescue them from oppression. They watched for a sign to herald the Messiah's arrival. They expected a sign such as a rising political leader or a royal parade. But instead, the angel says that a baby, a newborn helpless baby, is feeding trough was it. God's sign that more love is possible for all of us. Jesus comes bringing more love to the world.
Holy living God, blessed Jesus, guiding Spirit, alight within us your flame of love this day. Grant us openness to hear your message. Grant us courage to be your messengers in the world, creating more love in the midst of fear. Amen.
season of Advent, we take time to ponder the meaning behind the lighting of the 4 candles of the Advent wreath. Each Sunday in the season, we light a candle symbolizing hope, peace, love, and joy. Here we meet Yuri, a young angelic recruit who is receiving a tour of heaven by an older, more experienced angel named Gabby. Let's listen in.
Wow, it's so beautiful here. My teacher talked about them in our History of Heaven class, but I've never seen the gates so close in person before. They're so shiny.
Of course they are, Yuri. Everything is clean, bright, and shiny in heaven. It's the most beautiful place in all of God's kingdom.
Thanks for taking me on a tour and showing me the gates. But why did we stop here?
Well, you've done so well in your classes that I've been given permission to bring you on a very special assignment.
Huh?
We are going through the gates and down to earth to proclaim hope.
Hope? What's that?
Have you ever heard of the people say things like, I hope it rains soon, or I hope our crops are plentiful this year, or even, I hope God answers my prayers tonight?
I remember now. But it doesn't seem like hope is a very strong word for what it means.
It's one of the strongest emotions known to humans.
So, which hope are we going to proclaim? Are we going to make it rain? Can't we do that from here instead of all the way down to earth? It's so far, I've never even left heaven before.
Nope, that's not something we angels have control over. You'll be okay. The greatest hope is coming to earth soon, and we have to get ready. Besides, the Father we are going to visit won't understand how important his child will be unless we are there to tell him in person.
A child? What child are you talking about?
The one who will prepare the way.
The way? The way for who?
Don't you get it? Prepare the way for the one who is coming.
But who is coming?
Oh, come on. You know who's coming. It's Jesus. Jesus is coming to earth.
Oh, already? I've heard other angels talking about his big trip, but I didn't know it was almost time for him to go.
That's why we have to get moving. There are a few visits we have to make before he arrives.
So who are we visiting?
We are going down to see a very old couple to proclaim that their prayers have been answered. They have been wanting a child for a very long time, and soon the lady is going to have a baby.
So we are going to tell her that God heard her prayer of hoping for a child?
Not quite. We're going to visit her husband, the priest, called Zachariah. He'll have a hard time believing at first, but we'll convince him. Mark my words. He'll know how important this child will be before we leave him.
Wow, this is a really serious assignment. We should get going.
Hold on. I'm glad you're so excited for your big outing, but before we can go, we have to light the first candle over there. It's the candle of hope, and when God sees it lit up, he'll know we are on the way to complete the first task.
The first task? Are there others?
Oh, yes. God has lots of messages to send to all people over the next few weeks. Come on, let's fly.
Following the special assignment of a visit to Zariah and his wife Elizabeth, Yuri explains to his classmate Mike everything he witnessed.
And that's everything that happened. It was so crazy. Gabby told Zacharias that his wife would have a son who was going to prepare the way for Jesus, and he didn't believe it. And he didn't believe Gabby made it so he couldn't speak anymore.
Why would she do that? Isn't it kind of mean to take his voice away?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she thought he would have more faith if he could speak. He'll sure have a lot more time to reflect on things now since he has to keep his mouth shut.
I don't get it, and I don't get the hope thing either. It's really hard to understand something I can't see.
Oh, there you are, Yuri. I see you brought a friend to see the gates. Nice to meet you. I'm Gabby. Has Yuri told you about the meaning of the candle over there?
Not yet. He was telling me about your special assignment on Earth.
Yeah, that was quite exciting. But this candle is even more so. It represents the hope that we were sent to proclaim. It reminds us of the hope we have in Jesus.
Oh, I guess that's cool, but I really want to know about how you made that old man go silent. I'm only in the second year of angel school. We haven't learned how to do that yet.
Sorry, that will have to wait. We don't have time to talk about that right now. We have to go.
Go where? It seems like we just got back.
Today we are bringing the very important message of peace.
Oh, we learned about peace last week. Remember, Yuri? Let's see. What was Amishah saying it was?
I think it was something like being completely free from worry and having sense of harmony and calm. Is that right, Gabby?
Yep, you've got it. Our task is to bring harmony and peace to someone very special today.
I know a lot of people in the world are worried right about now. But how are we going to?
Look, I'd love to help you understand, but right now, I don't have time for any more questions. We're going to be late.
But wait, what does peace have to do with this message? I don't understand.
Yuri, Mike, peace has everything to do with this message. Peace is the reason we're going on this assignment in the first place.
I know you said we didn't have time for any more questions, but I gotta know. Who are we going to proclaim the message for? A famous king or even an emperor? Whoever it is, it must be a very important person.
Well, it's definitely no one of royalty. We are going to visit a young woman who lives in a small shack in the town of Nazareth. Actually, she isn't even a woman yet. She's just 12 or 13 years old.
How's this girl more important than a king?
So many questions. Look, you two, she is a very, very important person because God has chosen her. We are going to visit her and tell her that she will become pregnant with our Lord Jesus.
But why did God choose her?
Only He knows the answer to that question. Now let's go. I have the feeling that her faith will be even stronger than Zachariah, and he was a priest. This girl will accept her future with peace and gladness, even if she doesn't understand what is about to happen.
Hey, Gabby, don't we need to light the second candle over there? We need to let God know we are on the next assignment, right?
Oh yes, I'm so excited to visit Jesus' mother. I almost forgot. Mike, why don't you light it before we all head out?
You got it. Now let's go bring some peace to the world. After the most exciting assignment of their angelic lives, Yuri and Mike rushed into angel school to tell their classmates all about what they had just seen. When Gabby told the young girl named Mary that she had been chosen by God to be the earthly mother of Jesus, well, they just couldn't believe any human could accept that kind of news and yet be so calm and peaceful. Let's see how the next part of the story unfolds. Oh, there you are, Angela. You'll never guess what we just saw. It was so awesome. I mean, it was the best thing we've ever witnessed.
Yeah, you'll never guess, not in a bazillion years.
Guys, slow down and catch your breath. Now tell me what happened. Where have you been? You missed the lesson on how not to get whiplash when flying at the speed of light.
We've been out with Gabby.
No way. What did you guys do to get so lucky? She's been so busy lately. I've hardly seen her in weeks.
Well, all I know is that a while ago, she offered to give me a tour to see all of the special places in heaven. The next thing I knew, we stopped at the gates, and she told me that she was taking me on a special assignment to proclaim hope on earth.
Yeah, to visit a guy named Zariah. He was the priest that lost his voice because he didn't believe what Gabby was telling him. I kind of feel bad for him, though. It would be hard for me to believe that an old lady going to have a baby meant to prepare the way for Jesus too. That's some big news.
Shh! Don't let Gabby hear you saying that. She might quiet you down too.
Okay, you two. What happened after that?
Well, I wasn't there for the first assignment, but I did get on the second one. It was fantastic. I've never seen anything so amazing.
Yep, I agree. Gabby said our assignment was to proclaim peace. You know, I really never understood the meaning of the word until I witnessed it from that young girl. She didn't even argue when Gabby talked to her. All she said was, "Let it be to me as you have said."
Wow, that's a great story.
Did I overhear you guys telling Angela about our latest assignment?
You sure did. She agrees. It was an awesome story.
But the story isn't finished yet. God has more messages he wants us to deliver.
Do you think I could go on this assignment too? It's the greatest story I've ever heard. I'd love to see it happen with my very own eyes.
I don't see why not. The more the merrier. But promise to keep quiet when we get there. The man we are going to visit is already nervous enough as it is.
Who are we going to visit today, and what is the message we get to proclaim?
We are going to visit a carpenter named Joseph and proclaim love.
That's a big emotion. What's love got to do with it? Why do we proclaim God's love for him? That would be so cool.
You're right. Love can be very powerful. But the love we are proclaiming today isn't coming directly from God.
I don't think I understand.
We are going to talk to Mary's husband.
I didn't know she was married.
She isn't, but she will be soon. We need to go remind Joseph how much he loves Mary and to not be afraid to marry her. He needs to understand that the baby she is carrying is from God and no one else.
So he needs to have faith too and show his love for Mary and the baby.
Hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. We are going down to earth for the third time to bring God's message to another commoner? This Joseph guy is just a carpenter. Why would God want us to bring such a big message to someone so unimportant?
Yuri, I'm surprised at you. You should know that there are no unimportant people to God.
All right, I'm sorry. It just seems like all these big messages should be going to people with power, you know?
Gabby, it sounds like it was such an important message. We should get a move on. Why don't we let Angela light the third candle since it's her first trip to Earth, and then we can go.
May this candle represent God's love for all and remind us how we can use that love for others.
This story keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? It isn't every day that we hear of messages sent directly from God, and in this story there have already been the really big ones. What happens next is by far the best part. Keep watching to find out what happens, and remember, the message is for everyone.
So let me get this straight, because I'm not so sure I believe what I just saw. Gabby made herself known to Joseph while he was asleep and dreaming, told him to love and protect Mary by marrying her, and he just did what she told him to do? That's some higher level angel stuff for sure.
Yep, that's the gist of it. There are some God-sized miracles happening here, and it's best not to question how they work, I think.
You know, maybe someone should write all this stuff down. No one is going to believe this story. I mean, I'm watching it all happen and it's blowing my mind.
Don't worry, this is the greatest story ever told in all of eternity. People will hear and just believe for thousands and thousands of generations. But first we need to complete our last task and deliver one more message from God. Before we go, though, we need to gather as many angels as we can. This message is far too big for just a few of us to deliver. We need everyone.
Gather around, everyone. Gabby has a special assignment for all of us.
But what can we do? We're the youngest and the smallest of all the angels, and we haven't been to angel school yet.
It doesn't matter how big or small, young or old you are, Chris. You will soon learn that God can use you no matter who you are.
Okay, if you say so.
What is the last assignment, Gabby? The last three have been pretty important. I mean, like life. Altering, important. Can this one be any better?
Gather around, everyone. You're all going to want to hear this. God is trusting us to share the most wonderful news ever in the history of eternity. It's so incredible, I'm shaking with excitement.
Get on with it, Gabby. We can't stand the suspense.
Oh, right, sorry. God wants us to announce the birth of Jesus to the world. Can you believe it? We're going to make up a heavenly chorus and sing songs of joy.
So far, we have been giving these messages to some pretty ordinary people. Please tell us that we are going to get to give this amazing news to the kings of the world. Just once, I'd like to see the inside of a fancy palace.
Nope. Sorry to disappoint you, but this news is too important to limit it just to the kings of the world. This news is for everyone, and to prove it, God is sending us to visit some shepherds out in the fields.
Shepherds, but they're so dirty and they smell like the sheep they're looking after. Yeah, what are we supposed to tell them anyway?
We will tell them all about Jesus' birth, of course. Oh yeah, and sing.
Are you sure? Have you ever heard Meg's voice? Besides, what are we going to be singing? Lullabies to put the sheep to sleep?
Nope again. We have a song to sing about peace on earth and goodwill to all. Sounds joyful to me. Besides, any song of praise is a joyful noise to God.
I'm not so sure about this, Gabby. It sounds kind of scary.
I'm with Chris. This singing stuff to a bunch of shepherds.
Now wait right there before you even say it. Shepherds have the same right to hear the good news and sing God's praises just like any royal person does. To God, everyone is worthy and everyone is deserving his love.
So what happens when we all show up hovering above the fields? I mean, it'll be quite the sight. We might scare those poor shepherds right out of their minds.
We probably will, but just think about it. When they hear the news, they'll be so stunned and they'll run to each other and they'll run to tell other shepherds and they will tell others and so on. And before long,
Jesus will be surrounded by sheep?
Hardly. Just think of it. The joy of Jesus' birth will be spread to everyone. That's what we are going to proclaim, joy. His birth will bring joy to the world.
Well, Gabby, you make this singing phrase stuff sound neat, but what do you say, guys? Are you all in? Are we going to make some joyfully heaven noise or what?
Okay, Gabby, I'm in, but I think you're forgetting one thing. We need to light the last candle before we descend on those poor shepherds.
Chris, why don't you light it? It will signify your first assignment to glorify God, but I promise it won't be your last.
And now you know how the tradition of lighting the Advent wreath was begun. Well over 2,000 years ago, God's love for the world was so big that he sent his one and only Son to be born on earth. And as we near the day when we celebrate the birth of a tiny baby boy, we ask you to light each candle as a reminder of the angel's message of hope, peace, love, and joy. Merry Christmas and happy birthday to Jesus.
When blossoms flowered amid the snows upon a winter night, was born the child, the Christmas rose, the King of love and light. The angels sang, the shepherds sang, the great earth rejoiced, and at his blessed birth
The Gospel of Luke, the second chapter, tells us the astounding story of our Savior's birth. Around the time of Elizabeth's amazing pregnancy and John's birth, the emperor in Rome, Caesar Augustus, required everyone in the Roman Empire to participate in a massive census, the first census since Quirinius had become governor of Syria. Each person had to go to his or her ancestral city to be counted.
Mary's fiancé, Joseph from Nazareth in Galilee, had to participate in the census the same way everyone else did, because he was a descendant of King David. His ancestral city was Bethlehem, David's birthplace.
Mary, who was now late in her pregnancy, as predicted by the messenger Gabriel, accompanied Joseph. While in Bethlehem, she went into labor and gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped the baby in a blanket and laid him in a feeding trough because the inn had no room for them.
Nearby, in the fields outside Bethlehem, a group of shepherds were guarding their flocks from predators in the darkness of night. Suddenly, a messenger from the Lord stood in front of them, and the darkness was replaced by a glorious light, the shining light of God's glory. They were terrified.
Don't be afraid. Listen, I bring good news, news of great joy, news that will affect all people everywhere. Today, in the city of David, a liberator has been born for you. He is the promised anointed one, the supreme authority. This will be a sign for you. You will know you have found him when you see a baby wrapped in a blanket, lying in a feeding trough.
Really? That's the sign?
At that moment, the heavenly messenger was joined by thousands of other messengers, a vast heavenly choir. They praised God.
To the highest heights of the universe, glory to God. And on earth, peace among all people who bring pleasure to God.
As soon as the heavenly messengers disappeared into heaven, the shepherds were buzzing with conversation.
Let's rush down to Bethlehem right now. Let's see what's happening. Let's experience what the Lord has told us about.
So they ran into town, and eventually they found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in the feeding trough. After they saw the baby, they spread the story of what they had experienced and what had been said to them about this child.
Everyone who heard the story couldn't stop thinking about its meaning. Mary, too, pondered all of these events, treasuring each memory in her heart.
The shepherds returned to their flocks, praising God for all they had seen and heard, and they glorified God for the way the experience had unfolded, just as the heavenly messenger had predicted. This is the good news of God for the people of God.
It is a night like all the rest, as the shepherds watch their fields for shadows, keeping alert for predators that might harm their flock of sheep. The crisp night air is helpful in keeping them awake and alert. Suddenly, instead of the shadow of an animal, the shepherds are startled by a bright light in the sky. A voice comes from the light declaring that the long-awaited Messiah has arrived. The light in the sky is magnified, and a multitude of voices sing praise to God. One would expect such a majestic display in the sky to be the sign, a grand, bold clue about God's presence. But instead, the angel declares that the sign is a helpless newborn babe in a manger who has come to be one of us, one with us. It is not what we expect of God. We understand God to be all-powerful And so we anticipate the coming of a superhero or a mighty warrior puffed up with strength and force. But that's not the way God arrives. God comes as a powerless infant, born in a feeding trough for animals. This surprising sign shows us that power and force will not save us. It is love that saves us. Like the baby Jesus, each of us was born in original blessing. We are blessed by the love of God from the moment of our conception. Love is where you came from, and love is where you are going, and God wants you to experience that love all the time in between. Love is not something that you can attain. It's not something that you can work up to as much as something that you allow yourself to fall into. It is the living presence of God within you, who has already fallen in love with you and who bids you to fall in love with God and with your true self. My friend, you cannot make God love you 1 ounce more than God already loves you right now. You can go to church for the rest of your life, but God isn't going to love you any more than God already loves you right this moment. You cannot make God love you any less either, not 1 ounce less. You could do the most terrible thing, and God won't love you any less. However, you would probably love yourself much less. But we cannot diminish God's love for us. What you can do is learn how to believe in God's love, how to receive it, to trust it, to allow it, and to celebrate it. You cannot change God's mind about you. God loves you without condition. Sadly, most of us have forgotten this original blessing. Our ego has convinced us that we need power and control to merit God's love. Fearful that we are unlovable, we fall into one-upmanship. Fear tells us, I have to be better than you in order to feel worthy. But 1 John chapter 4, verse 18 proclaims, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out all fear. Fear drives us to construct barriers that segregate the lovable from the unlovable. In first century society, a shepherd is in the unlovable category according to human standards. Shepherds are despised as outcasts, scorned for allowing their sheep to graze on neighboring land. Nevertheless, God chooses shepherds to be the first recipients of Jesus' birth announcement and the first outside his family to meet the Holy Child. God's love disregards the judgments we humans tend to establish. In God's eyes, we are all lovable. The angels say, do not be afraid, for God has come to you, lowly shepherds. In God's eyes, everyone matters. God comes as a vulnerable human being just like you, to be a sibling to all creation. God's perfect love dismantles the false barriers that we humans erect. God's love is unconditional. It is not based on merit, good deeds, or willingness to reciprocate. God loves you simply because you are alive. A recent news story told of a blind cross-country athlete in West Fork, Arkansas. Paul Scott is a freshman. He is legally blind, but he runs on his high school cross-country team, thanks to his running guide, 11-year-old Rebel Hayes. Tethered by a cord and bound at the heart with love. For 3 years, Rebel has guided Paul over hills and across finish lines. Their coach understands that we are called to love and serve one another. She recruited running guides, not only for Paul, but also for his 2 older siblings. Paul's mom is grateful that her son has found not only a guide in Rebel, but also a genuine friendship with a peer. This unique relationship has broken barriers and empowered both teens to excel in ways that affirm their unique worth. God comes in Jesus to be a companion like that, to tether us to God's self, to our side, to remind us of the original blessing into which we are born. Love, my friends, is where you come from, and love is where you are going, and God's love is with you every moment in between. The baby Jesus grows to tell us that there is enough love for everyone. We need not parcel it out. That's why we are commissioned to share the good news that there is more love. For love is the sign of God with us in Jesus the Christ. Thanks be to God. Amen.
From the storm, found no place at the keeper's door. It was for this a child was born, to save a world so cold and hollow. A sleeping town, they did not know that lying in a manger low, a Savior King who had no home has come to heal our sorrows. Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart for God to write His story? Shepherds counting sheep at night, do not fear the glory light. You are precious in His sight. God has come to raise the lowly. Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart for God to write His story? You can come as you are. It may set you apart, but you make room in your heart and trade your dreams for His glory. Make room in your heart. Make room in your heart. Mother holds the promise tight. Every wrong will be made right. The road is straight, the burden's light. For whose hands he holds tomorrow. Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart? Is there room in your heart for God to write his story? You can come as you are. It may set you apart when you make room in your heart and trade your dreams for his glory. Make room in your heart. Make room in your heart. Make room in your heart. Make room in your heart.
I invite you to still your hearts and minds in a moment of prayer. Divine Lover, you sent your beloved Son, Jesus, to draw us to you like magnets, holding us fast with the bond of love. You birth us in love and desire to carry us in love throughout our days. We confess that sometimes we turn from you and your love. We try to be self-sufficient, powerful, and in control. We don't like being vulnerable or in need of anything, but it does feel so good to be loved. We acknowledge that we do need your love, for you know us through and through, and you love us anyway. May your love seep deep into our souls, especially into those cracks and crevices where we feel unworthy and unlovable. We are surrounded by the great good news of Jesus, that you love us without condition and without merit. We pause to breathe in your astounding love. Touched by your love, we are compelled to share it. Grow our compassion for those who feel unlovable and unloved. Extend our hearts just as you enlarge your heart to offer love without condition. Embrace all who long for good news, news that a loved one is recovering from illness, assurance that a home will be restored after fire, hope that a broken relationship can be reconciled. We pray for all yearning for salvation from the multiple disasters striking people today. Lift up those who are falling into despair, those who are sliding through the cracks, those who feel deflated by the troubles of this difficult time. Shed beams of light that kindle hope for a new day. In Jesus, you come to be one with us, O God. We pray your healing, guiding presence will be with all who are struggling with health concerns. We give thanks for the COVID vaccine, and we pray that it will protect all who receive it, leading to an end of the virus and restoration of life in all its fullness. Abide with those who grieve the painful absence of loved ones, blessing their hearts with comfort. Walk with those who feel lonely or abandoned. Offer respite to students, teachers, and families, recharging their energies for a new year. As Christ is born anew, may his presence revive your church universal with his presence of peace and justice. Embolden us to be messengers of the hope, peace, joy, and love which the world so longs to hear. We open ourselves to Christ's rebirth in our hearts and in our lives. Come, Emmanuel, come. We unite our voices as Jesus taught his disciples, praying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid.
It has been a joy to worship with you this day. We want to acknowledge one of our members who has offered extraordinary service for 2 years as our interim temporary for 2 years director of youth ministry, Sue Rude Cox. Sue has renovated our youth ministry along with youth advisors. They have offered special events from the Oscar nights to a Zoom production of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. They have recognized the youth birthdays and graduations. When the pandemic started, Sue had to adapt once again to online Zoom youth group gatherings and has done that with ease and grace and skill and, a bit of challenge. We are grateful, Sue, for the commitment, the energy, the time, the talent, the devotion, and the love that you have offered to our youth at First UMC the last 2 years. And as a token of their appreciation, they have compiled a book of photos from the past 2 years so that you might remember them with love, and we will always remember you and your gifts of ministry, not just now, but many years ago as well. So thank you on behalf of the youth, the families, and your church family. We are grateful.
Thank you.
And our youth ministry will continue, resuming in January with Sonda Anderson as our youth ministry coordinator. Coming up in the next few days, on Monday, December 21st, we offer a Blue Christmas service at 7 p.m. on Zoom. You can find the Zoom link or the phone number to call in on the church website or in the What's Happening email. This is a time to recognize the losses of this year, the personal losses of our lives, and just to acknowledge that this is a difficult season for many, especially this year. On Christmas Eve, we will offer 2 pre-recorded services, a contemporary Stony Point worship service, as well as a traditional worship service. We invite you to share those links, which will be available on December 24th, with your family and friends, and worship in spirit with us then. As you go forth this day, my friends, may you remember our call to be messengers of love. May the love of God uplift you. May the compassion of Christ give you strength. May the peace of the Holy Spirit abide with you this day and always. Amen.